Hi, my name is Alina. I thought that now that I switched my YouTube channel into English, I would talk about a bit of like who I am, where I'm from, what type of journey I'm in, and all that. So yeah, I was born in Finland, to a Finnish mother and an Indian father. My father is from South India, and I feel like that already has impacted me quite a lot, of course, because I was brought up in between two cultures, so both of those affected me a lot. And my father is like he's a Hindu, but like I would say more like kind of spiritual side, not so much like very religious side, I would say. Um, and my mother is also like very spiritual, so I was already like um in my family I was influenced with a lot of spiritual things. I would say that the Indian part of spiritual things, I always had like quite a lot of resistance somehow. Whenever my father would talk about like spiritual things that are very like rooted in India and that like culture, I would get this like resistance. I would know deep inside like yes that's true, but like I don't want to kind of go and walk that path because like what he would talk about was like very like you know in Indian I found that's I don't know if that's the correct way to say but I hope you understand what I mean, but like in India when it comes to spiritual there's a lot of rules and again this is just my opinion and my like kind of perspective, but there's like a lot of hierarchy and yeah just a lot of rules like how if you're a spiritual person how you need to live your life, like this is the things that you need to do. And I always had a lot of resistance to it, so I like yes I always like believed in God, like my mom would always say like God lives inside of you and all that, but yeah, and I also like I kind of had this fear that I would need to kind of walk that path in a way, the Indian spiritual path. I hope this makes sense. And not like intense fear, but just like, I just had the resistance. Yeah, so I would partake in like yeah, I just wanted to add this and say that like I do respect Indian culture so much, and there is so much beauty, and there's like most of the teachings that are in the New Age spiritual community are from India. So I just want to note that nobody gets like a wrong picture of what I'm saying. My father used to do when I was little, and those of like we had puja at home and those type of things. So we would do those, and like for me, like that was always something very like that I didn't want to share with other people because here in Finland, like nobody does those type of things. Like I think it would have been like perceived weird. Maybe I sometimes talked about it, but like not in very like open way maybe. And yeah, my parents like they got divorced when I was quite young still. So then there was like my father's home and then my mother's home, and the teachings were a bit different and the atmosphere were quite different. And at my mom's place, like my mom would talk about like love and like compassion and like boundaries and very like rooted kind of um self-help I would even say, and like spirituality. And actually a funny thing, like not funny but like a beautiful thing as well that we used to do, like I had kind of a lot of like struggles in school with friends and the friend group that I was in. And because like we lived in this quite small town in Finland, and there wasn't very much like everyone was from there and I was from a different place. Like I don't say that I'm not sure like what was the issue in a way, like of course like I had very deep rooted victim mentality, so I think that affected a bit. But yeah, I always felt like very outsider in a way, like I never felt like I was in the group fully or that I belonged there. um so yeah, I had a lot of struggles, so I would talk about these sort of things to my mom. And what my mom like kind of used to say to me, like, you don't need to be anyone's like kind of doormat. That like you need to have boundaries and like don't be like pushed around in a way. But then she would always also say, like, every evening, if there was something difficult or just in general, that send love to each of your classmates. So what I would do before I went to bed, not like every single night, but like a lot of the times, like this was kind of my prayer, I would say. So I would, before I would go to bed, I would imagine every single one of, like, pardon me, like I was like 8 years old, like 7, 8, 9 years old, 10 years old when I was doing this practice. And I would imagine that I go everyone by like one on one, and I would hug them, and I would imagine sending them love. And like, in a strange way, like it always helped. I always, like, I remember like the next day, everything just was a bit easier for me in a way, because I had that compassion and love for those people, even though there was like some hard and difficult things. And I think that's also such a powerful thing, like, you know, when you're going through difficult like things, and yes, you can be mad to other people and feel wronged in many ways, but like kind of coming back to yourself and having that compassion to other people, like it will change your life, like it truly will. And what ended up happen, like throughout the years, like everything like kind of smoothed out, and through the end, like I felt more and more that I belonged in that city or in that group. But then I still moved to my father's place, to Helsinki, so it was easier for me there. Yeah, so much easier. Yeah, that's the one thing that I wanted to kind of share to people, that because I think that's such a beautiful practice, and I still do it to nowadays. Like I still imagine people and send them love, even though if there's something like difficult maybe between us or anything like that. So yeah, and then maybe I will like kind of forward to my teenage years, when I was like like when everyone else started to drink, around like maybe the age of 13, which is super early, but like here in Finland, that's what usually happens. I don't know if nowadays, but yeah, I think nowadays too. Yeah. And I was very like, no, I will not drink. I was very against it. I think it was because like my parents were both like, they didn't drink, so I had never kind of seen that example, or like, you know, I never lived in that atmosphere. And of course there was like, you know, my father was very judgmental of it, but my mother wasn't judgmental. Like she always said like, everyone can do what they want, but like this is how I live my life, or she lives her life. And yeah, so I wasn't judgmental, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And when I was 16, and I started my, is it like, I'm not sure if it's called high school. Yeah, like the upper, I never know what this word is, but like what you go through like from 16 to 18, 19, around that. So yeah, and my dad left Finland, so he divorced his wife at the time, and he went back to India. So that was very heartbreaking for me. Like that was the first time that my heart really got broken, because I just knew that he wasn't coming back. Like yeah, at the beginning, like I was still like kind of like having those like beliefs that he would, in the mental level, like that he would come back, or that he would visit us often or something like that. And he came like, during the first year he came 2 times back to Finland, but then after that he didn't come. To this day he hasn't come back to Finland. So yeah, that was very, very heartbreaking for me, and I feel like that was the first time that my heart really got like broken into pieces, I would say. Like that's the biggest pain that I have ever lived through. And at that time I was like, okay, I will also, you know, I don't want to be outside of the group. Like I want to, like I cannot take it that now my father leaves and that I will be outside of the group because I'm not drinking. So I was like, whatever, I will start to drink. And I started, and yeah, sure, there were fun times, but like I always knew that I wasn't meant to. So I stopped around like when I was 18. I'm sure there were still like few times when I had a drink or two, some like somewhere, but like after the age of 19, I don't think I have drank in maybe like 2 times or something like that. But like I knew that I wasn't meant to drink. That's the point. And yeah, and I have talked about this on my Instagram post, but there's something that I left out from there that I will be sharing now. Is that actually what I would do when I was like around 17? I would pray to God. I was like, God, please let me have a boyfriend so I can leave this like atmosphere that I can stop drinking. I know that I don't have the strength on my own to stop drinking, so I was praying to God that like, please, please send me a boyfriend that is like who has similar beliefs, so I can like, you know, live and not be alone in a way. And that's what happened when I turned 18. I started a date, and I'm still with that same guy. So yeah, God works in funny ways, and He always hears or she hears your prayers. I feel like I went through a very dark time in some ways. Like, sure, there were good times as well, but like, all of the trauma that I hadn't dealt with after my father had left, started to kind of come to the surface. I started to look into hypnosis, and those I started to listen to meditation and hypnosis, and those really helped me. And I also discovered the manifestation. I started to manifest a lot of things. So I was like constantly trying to like kind of up level my energies and like kind of rise the frequency that I was living in. And there were still difficult times, and obviously I got pregnant. I talked about that in the last video. And already when my daughter was born, so 2022, I think she was like maybe 2-3 months old, I was walking in the forest, and I just had this like aha moment. Like I was already in the like manifestation spiritual community, like I was looking into that, but like I wasn't like yet at the deep end, I would say. So yeah, I was walking in the forest, and I just had this like kind of, yeah, I feel like that was the spiritual awakening that I had. I just felt this feeling of connectedness to everything. So I felt like I was one with the trees, I was one with the forest, I was one with everything, and I was like, you know, on cloud 9 about the feeling that I had. And that's like when it finally kind of clicked, okay, like this is just all an experience, and like I'm here to work through different things. Everything is love at the core. And yeah, that feeling lasted for like a couple of days and then started again. Like I feel this is very like common cycles that you would like when you have a spiritual awakening, you would go through the awakening. That's like, you know, very high up there, and then you come kind of crashing down because you need to kind of start to look at your shadow side and like work through all of the trauma that you have gone through. So yeah, that lasted quite some time. I started to look into more esotericism. My favorite teacher through all this time is called This Is Maria. I link her and her channel down below because like she has been the biggest guide for me. I have listened probably all of her episodes on Spotify. And yeah, I started to do her meditations, and that truly kind of started to awaken me, and like just like expansion and all that. Yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to kind of share. Leave comments if this like kind of raises any thoughts on you. And again, like I will be talking about spiritual things, manifestation, and all that in the future. So if you're interested, subscribe my channel, like the video, all that good stuff. Okay, bye.